I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Matt Cundill. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
It's night where I am too, and you knew that. I don't think it's night where you are necessarily.
It is. It's actually 10:04 p.m. my time.
Wow, because it's 8 o'clock where I am.
Where are you?
I'm in Central. I'm in Central North America.
Yeah. So just like a few weeks ago, it was only 1 hour, right? 1 hour difference. Yeah. You're right there. That's pretty cool. Tell me, Matt, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting?
Probably my social media. I mean, you found me on LinkedIn, but I have a number of things in my LinkedIn. I know a lot of people say, well, just say the one thing that you do, but I don't do just one thing, which makes it complicated. And I'm sure I'll touch on that a little bit later. But when I mention I do audio and voiceover and podcasts, that usually means I'm going to meet all sorts of people across LinkedIn, which is really, I think I think we underestimate that as a social media platform because it's business, it's our resume. We don't always want to be authentic on there. But if you can be, it will lead to a lot of connections.
Most definitely. I totally agree with you. Definitely, I am a testimony to that on this particular project. I've used LinkedIn 90% of 90% of what everyone is hearing in terms of the connections have come from LinkedIn. Previously, with the 1,000 one I had in 2016 in the 3 months, I did Facebook. I thought email would have done it in terms of reaching out via email, but it was actually Facebook and Facebook groups. This time, LinkedIn. Wow. And I think it's different, though. I think LinkedIn actually moved up a notch in terms of the communication that's going on there.
Well, what's the first question you ask when you meet someone? It's like, oh, so what do you do?
Yeah.
But LinkedIn tells you what that is. So we're already past, the long part of the conversation, and we're already into the blood and guts of the whole thing.
Yeah, which is great. Well, I love it. Yeah, I did connect with you via that keyword podcaster on LinkedIn. So it definitely is powerful. And tell us what you do in the podcast world, please.
So in the podcast world, I have a podcast for broadcast. I spent 25 years as a broadcaster in Canada I think I traveled to 4 different provinces and broadcast from 3 time zones, something along those lines. And after I was let go in 2014, there was really, what am I going to do next? What's the next thing? And here was this wonderful world of audio that was exploding, but at the same time, you kept hearing about radio was shifting and moving into a different dimension. So with that, I said, well, if audio is exploding, I want to have an audio company. And so the first thing I did was I went and built a studio. And the next thing I said was, well, I'm going to continue doing voiceovers. Now, I've done voiceovers for many, many years, and it was a way to continue creating audio and creating voices for the people I was working with. At the same time, there was still some demand for me to be a radio consultant, so I was, and I picked up 3 clients. But it was so nice just to have a microphone in the basement and do stuff. And then I looked around and I said, wait a second, I'm consulting radio stations. Oh, I'm also doing some voiceover work, and here's all my equipment in the basement. Why aren't I podcasting? And it was a friend of mine in Edmonton. He said, what are you doing without a podcast? I can't believe you don't. If anybody would have a podcast, it would be you. And eventually it took some people to push me. And here I started this podcast. And I didn't know what I was going to talk about. But so I talked about the only thing I know what to talk about, and that was radio. And out came the podcast or broadcast. And I said, well, I'll give it a year. So anything I do in life, you give it 1 year. I call it the lap around the track. Give it 1 year. You move to a city, you're not sure if the city's going to be right for you. You're not sure if the job's going to be work out for you. Just give it a year. Do your 1 lap around the track. And then the funny thing after you finish your first lap is, I think I can do another lap because I've already done the first lap, and I'm still here. I'm still good, and it wasn't so bad.
That's amazing.
You do another lap. And the first time I did that was in Edmonton. And I moved from Montreal to Edmonton, and people thought I was crazy leaving Montreal and going to Edmonton. And it's cold, and it's north, and the Edmonton Oilers at the time weren't doing very well in hockey. And I'll just go for a year and do 1 lap around the track. And I loved it so much I did 8.
Wow. I did get to listen to that podcast, but so okay. So the podcast I listened to is the Songed Off podcast.
That's right.
Right. And it was intriguing to hear the conversation where he's saying, why would you go build a studio? Like, people are podcasting with X amounts of dollars, right? And you said you were going out and you wanted to have that experience, though. Like, you said you're not sure if it was your ego or what it was building a studio for that amount of money in this time period. Is that accurate? Am I describing it correctly? Your conversation?
Yeah, I mean, the person I was talking with, he had just built a studio, and it was quite an expensive studio. But at the same time, he could afford it and he could do it. And then I'd also mentioned that some of the most successful podcasters sometimes don't have an elaborate studio. Sometimes they're broadcasting or podcasting from a closet with a microphone, and it doesn't have to be the best equipment, and it's not. One of the things that radio people will find themselves is they're going to miss a microphone if they're not around one.
Yeah.
So there's an element of prepare yourself for tomorrow, because you don't know if you're going to be out of a job and you don't know what's going to happen next. So you want to be able to be prepared for whatever step might happen next.
Yeah. You're definitely the voice that is bringing truth to the market, aren't you?
Yeah. You recognize that. A lot of people call me the truth teller.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who work in corporations. Those corporations have they've got another agenda. Some of them it's to sell telephones. Some of them it's to promote TV products. Some of it's to do something else. But when you're in radio, it's just the listener and it's just the presenter. And in that moment, that's where a connection has to be made. And so what are you talking about? And are you connecting with listeners? That's what I really strive for when I work with people in radio, is to get them to connect with the listener and get the listener in turn to love the brand of station that they're listening to.
Yeah, so important. So absolutely important. So you've definitely seen the struggles of the arena. Why will you continue to repeat this skill, Matt?
Which struggles?
I said you've definitely seen the struggles of the arena. Why will you continue to repeat the skill of bringing the value that you're bringing via consulting?
I can't let it go, because there's truth to be told, and I can help. I can help just about any talent, any brand get where they need to go and connect with the listener. You know, I score really, really high on emotional intelligence, and I think that was part of my success as, you know, being on the radio, being a programmer, and that's understanding how someone's going to feel when you say it. And it's also done very well for me when I do voiceovers. I can interpret what the copy is and what I'm trying to make the listener feel. So whether that's a presenter on the radio, whether that's going to be in a voiceover for a commercial or in a voice acting in a movie, or when I'm podcasting, what is the end user going to feel? And I can think that far in advance and get the sense of, you want to make the listener feel included. You want them to be a part of your story, and you want them to buy into your brand so that they come back and listen again or buy the product again.
So important. Where's the best place for someone to connect with you, Matt?
You can connect with me via my website at soundoffpodcast.com. I also have a voiceover website as well. It's mattcundill.ca.
Yeah, you definitely have an amazing voice. Like, are you hearing the intonations? It's Matt Cundill. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Did I say I love it?
These are just some of the sounds that we're going to be playing for you tonight.
Sweet. Wow. Love it. Well, Matt, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Well, funny enough, 3 years, that's the amount of time that I have was let go from my radio job. So I've been getting up every day to build this company called the Sound Off Media Company, which is named after the podcast. And, you know, in that time, I find some of the hardest moments is when I'm lying in bed first thing in the morning and I'm like, oh, it's just, I can't believe I'm doing this. I miss that moment when I go down to the radio station, you walk in, you get a coffee, you see how things are. The morning show's already happened. All that stuff is not there anymore. So now I have to go and motivate myself. I get up out of bed, and then the minute I come downstairs and I turn on the microphone and fire things up, and there's scripts to read and there's a podcast to record, I'm ready to go. So it's been different. That's what I've been doing for 3 years straight. I never thought I would love to work on the weekends. I love to work on the weekends, much to the detriment of my partner. She's like, really, you're going to work on a Saturday morning? I said, I get up Saturday morning at 7 a.m. I'm on a yoga mat at 8:15, and I'm back at my desk by 10:30.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. The internet has definitely opened up a grand opportunity in terms of you being in your own unique real self while you're doing the thing you love. I think that is definitely why individuals are enjoying the work at home model so much more, right?
Yeah, and the personal challenge for me is going to be getting out of just audio. So I've talked about how this is an audio company, but one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm stepping into video and trying to learn how to make video work for me as well. So, the conversation we're having right now is being recorded, and I'm trying it out in a video fashion just to see how it works. And I'm beginning to like it. After a couple of days of just trying it, I'm beginning to like it.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you have a pretty good mug as well, so it would definitely be exciting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Matt, hey, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Matt, what is your earliest childhood memory?
I think I might have been 2 years old, and I have no idea why I remember this. But my mother took me to an agricultural farm, the agricultural school, where there was a farm, and I think she was a student at the time. My mother was about 20, I think she must have been about 23, 24 back then. And 1972, 73, and she was studying at McGill and at the agricultural division, and I think she took me out to the farm for the day. And I just remember being in a car seat, and I don't know why I was wearing those shoes, but I remember the shoes vividly. I remember drinking, I think, from a sippy cup, and I remember going to see some cows that day.
That's intriguing. So, that is intriguing. So, how old do you think that puts you at? What, like 2 in a car seat? 3?
Oh, yeah, I was 2 years old, definitely.
Okay. So, why do you think it's so clear?
No idea.
If you had to connect the dots to what you do or who you are now, is it possible?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. I know how I got to where I am. It had a lot to do with my affinity for music and radio, and I think I had two moments in my life when I really began to fall for the radio. One of them was in 1982, and I'm 12 years old, but that was such a special year for music in North America. And what was happening was there was a lot of bands coming over from Britain and winding up on the radio. But the music changed between 1981 and 1982. The music went from very sappy love ballads and really sappy songs from the 70s. We got rid of that, and in came the 80s with all these sort of positive and different sounds. And the Human League and Soft Cell came over from England, and then Rick Springfield came up, and then Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, and here was this hard rock song on the radio. And all these great sounds on AM radio, and I thought it was really the best year. And I think from that moment I fell in love with the radio. About 6 years later, I decided I wanted to be on the radio.
So, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind? However, I love the idea that your mother taught you something that you're actually doing right now, which is when the milk isn't coming to you, you go to the milk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. So if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Anything that was really on the radio at that time, it was, I just thought they were all great. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts and Jay Giles Band. And the first record I bought that year was Foreigner, and Foreigner 4, Jukebox Hero and Break It Up was a song on there, and Urgent, with the saxophone in the middle. I thought this was just great. Mm-hmm. And buying records became interesting. You go down to the store, you bring about $12, and you got to choose which one you would buy. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't buy them all. Today you can buy them all, but you couldn't buy them all back then.
Yeah, Apple Play, $9.99.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Well, hey, Matt, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Matt?
I'm ready.
Matt, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, I have chosen that person I'm going to pass along my skills to.
So are you married?
I am not married.
Okay, do you have children?
I have 3 children.
Do you believe in God?
I believe in a higher power.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do, and they're the same ones that I've been with for the last 30 years.
Wow. Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
During NFL football season, yes.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? More than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Brutal. It's pushing 12.
Oh, wow. you need to blink. Like I heard it on a podcast recently. Like blink a lot. Like keep blinking. Yeah. Keeps the tear ducts going. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my friend. After 1,001 conversations, I came up with this yours that has applied to so many things, right? Specifically, your own unique real statement. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement that represents Matt Cundill, what would you say that is?
I am that damn good.
Matt Cundill, folks. Matt, before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I just think podcast and audio is so wonderful. Get yourself a pair of headphones that you can really sit back and enjoy whatever you listen to.
Matt Cundill, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.